So how do you decide which size of wood you use for a certain order? Let's say the customer wants 150 by 150 millimeter. Then what we are discussing is how big a square can you get out of a certain log. So say we got this 150 by 150. We have the 150 here, and we measure, this is very rough, we have 150 here, and we have 150 here. So inside this log is hiding 150 by 150. But how do you calculate how big must the log be at the top end? From corner to corner, yes. And there is even a rule for that, Pythagoras. Yeah. And we're not going to do the calculations here, but if this is A and this is B, you say A in second plus B in second equals C in second. But what you basically need to know is that if you have something here and something here that's square, then roughly you need 1.5 by the sides to get this. If you calculate with that, you will be within a sharp edge log. If it's slightly smaller, you will get what we call vein. There will be a little bit that is not sharp here. If it's okay with the customer, then it's okay, because then you have saved something. But if we look, this is 150 by 150, and if we look down here, it's 24, roughly 24 centimeter or 240 millimeter. But decide if you want to work centimeter, millimeter, or length of clocks, or the size of a cap. But decide which measure type you use, because otherwise you will confuse things. If you want, like a very common measure is 100 by 100 millimeter, then the square measure will be 141 millimeter, which is 1.41 times the 100. So if you go 150 millimeter on the top, you will be on the safe side. Now we are going a little bit off track, but the Japanese, whenever they made something, they often make it very, very straight and sharp corners, but they put in what they call a taiko beam, which is only God can make the perfect. So you have to put something in that is crooked, because humans cannot make a totally perfect thing. Can you follow me? So you deliberately put something in that is crooked, and one like this could make a perfect taiko beam, because you put it you put it like so. It's curvy here, and you cut 2 cuts, and then you will have a rough beam with 2 flat sides, and that would be perfect to put over a doorpost or something like that. That would be beautiful. For example, yeah. So even the more crooked, the better, and here the bandsaw is perfect. But okay, we have something left here, because I think you can all see if we go down here. Now you only have this size of log, and the order is 150 by 150 again, but we end up inside the log with this one. This is pretty rough. We have the one for the customer, but then you should not throw this away, especially not if it is straight, because you can have like a pretty good board here. You could have a pretty good board here, pretty good board here, maybe not so much here, but also decide what could be the next orders you could get, but also think of, is it worth it? My experience was that in the beginning I started to make 100 by or 25 by 100, because they might be used somewhere for some people's chicken house. But I realized that they become what we call storage success. They were lying around for months, for years, and in the end they end up in the chipper. Then I could just have chopped this in the chipper from the beginning. So be careful not to fill up your timber yard with stuff you cannot sell. But then comes the guy who wants 50 by 155. So then we start, you got your 150 here in the height, but then you want to, when you have to make 3 pieces of 50 millimeters each, what will happen with this one here? Yes, we will cut one here, boom. We will cut one here, and then there will be one left here. Is that good? We should try to avoid to have the center in the middle of a piece of timber, because what will happen? The thing is, if a customer asks for 50 by 150, then you need basically to find a log that can carry 200 by 150. So be sure that you split the pith the center of the log, that this one is simply split in the middle when you cut. This is the Scandinavian method of cutting. There are also people who start with calculating out, so they make a flat side and then they split the log like this. This is also a way to do it. But you have to be pretty meticulous, because otherwise the blade will run off the pith and then you get the problem anyway. You could provide this one here in the middle and then split it again so you cut the pith, or you can cut the pith off, but you shouldn't aim at getting the center of the log in any piece of timber, because it will only give you trouble. So this we are talking about is that when we cut, we plan the log, so in the middle will be like a 25 or 32 millimeter plank, a board or small. Yeah, what is the difference between boards and planks? I think we should pass that one now. But then you take a board out that is basically ruined, because it cannot be used for anything. But then you can again cut 25 millimeters out here. Then you will actually here have some very beautiful wood and very stable wood. It's actually the best wood ever. Windows, boards, music instruments, whatever you want to use it for. But this wood will be very stable, because once it starts drying, it will shrink in a very controlled way.